All right, so the learning objectives for this are going to be reviewing the importance of a retention plan, addressing who may play an important part in our uh, student retention plan. And at the end, of course, we will discuss if we have, and I'm going to try to make sure that we have enough time because I know that, I don't want this to just be coming down from the top of the mountain and saying that this is what we're going to do. This is not what it's about. It's about coming up with more constructive ways that we can impact our organization in a way that we keep our students on track to complete the courses that they set out. And I know just as I have ideas, you guys have ideas as well. And we need to hear some of those because at the end of the day, it's about us collectively and not just about Carlos and Jamie and what we think works. Because I can guarantee you right now, everything that I come up with is not going to work. All right. All right. So the importance of a sound retention plan. Number one, we believe that it has to live up to claims made by our prospective students. Retention, retention. One of the things that I hear time and time again from the students is that, oh, I reached out to somebody and they didn't get back with me, right? Oh, my admissions representative didn't tell me X, Y, and Z. And that becomes one of the main or a few of the main issues as to why these students are deciding that, I signed up for this program, I went through orientation, I got all my documents in, and then all of a sudden today, I don't want to do this no more. It doesn't necessarily have to do with the fact that, they're having issues with the classes or they're having issues necessarily with attending the classes. It's just that some of the information that they received was miscommunicated. And that's something that we definitely have to work on. I meet every day, in case you guys don't know, I meet every day at 10 o'clock with admissions representatives every day. And one of the things that we've decided that we have to begin to get into more so is more of the role playing. Last week was one of the defining moments for me as I was able to sit, and you guys will see here in a second, we actually started doing admissions reviews, or I'm sorry, admissions interviews. And those interviews are allowing me specifically to get information that otherwise I wouldn't have. And I'm finding out from students, probably the same students that are kind of making these statements on your student surveys about what is and what isn't working at DSDT. And it's troublesome. And so the hope is that moving forward that we can kind of offset some of this so that we can begin to retain a lot of them. All right. So you have to keep in mind that we are accountable to our oversight agencies for outcomes. In other words, we have to report a lot of these outcomes. And if we are constantly reporting that students are dropping, how do you think that makes us look? Right? That's going to affect our overall accreditation. It affects our funding. So again, it has to be a collective effort by the team in order to make sure that we're retaining these students. And again, one of the key points is that our reputation is at stake. There's nothing worse than having a student who had a bad experience with your organization and they go off and they say time and time again, I don't like that place and this is why. So, it does happen. And those are the things that we want to begin to take notice with and try, as I stated, to offset. Now, I have a question. Where does student retention really begin? Where does our student retention begin? Cody, I know you know, so why don't you just tell us?
In my opinion, it's right when we make first contact with them.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. I'd say the same thing, right? Wouldn't you, Ismet? Wouldn't you say the same thing as when we first make contact with them?
Yep, I completely agree.
Yeah, I would too. With all us being on the same page. Student retention begins with all of us being on the same page. And as I stated, the first thing that I noticed when I had to deal with these 7 students was that we were not on the same page. And I literally said to Jamie, we need retention training. We need to be having the same conversation as to why we're losing our students. These are conversations that have to begin to happen collectively as opposed to just certain individuals that are talking. I mean, I've had conversations with Tori, with Mandy, with Ismet, with Jamie, with Katie, with everybody in admissions, and yet there are issues that are plaguing us all. So it's time for us to have an open discussion about what we need to do moving forward in order to make sure that we're not losing these students. All right.